My name is Kelly. I already know. This is what's crazy, this kind of stuff. This is what you spend a lot of time doing, is traffic. Or driving, one or the other. This is one of the people we met through another contract, and now she owns a couple, maybe 100 or so rental properties.
Oh.
Or manages 100 or so rental properties, and she has us do all of her work for her now, service work and things. So we take good care of her, and she does us very well. This is it's a good business. Just you're doing a good job with somebody. Put you right in there for them. I mean, if usually it'll be one property or their house or something, they'll like you, and then they'll put you on everything else they're doing. As long as you do it well, it's all good. Oh, be right back. Is it? But you said it's definitely not the rollout center. It is a limit switch. That sounds right. Yeah, go ahead and see if you can air that thing in for me, John. Like I said, we'll settle up there tomorrow if we can get her in there. Rolling office row. It's all mobile now, but it's I like it. It's money you put in your pocket instead of in an office building somewhere. Yeah, as far as pretty much here local, we go. Bristol, Tennessee is our boundary one way. Rogersville's part of the boundary the other, and then we go up as far as anything for Greenville address, which takes you, almost to North Carolina that way.
Oh wow!
Yeah, you get
you get the new Floridians up in the Carolina edge there. New money coming in, or not quite up there.
This whole area is full of new money. I mean, there's actually, that's kind of one of the things that's strange about this insurance is that most of it comes from the sale of a home. So most of our clients are people that just bought new homes in this area, and usually on the higher end. And that's here lately, that's been an influx of people from everywhere but here, and most of those probably from Ohio and Pennsylvania that I've talked to. But they're selling homes for 2 or 3 times as much as they cost here, and coming here and buying the same kind of place and putting a couple $100,000 in the bank. It's kind of pretty smart, actually. and about all of them are retired. They've just hit retirement age, and they've retired, sold out, cashed out, and came here for a good place to live.
Sold out and cashed out.
Quit attempting to make where they live better. Just give it up. Go somewhere that is better. Just give it up. If you pay attention, you see a little bit of everything. That's one of the things about this. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's when you're really aware of your surroundings and things.
And you are.
And you're in people's houses and in people's homes. You get a picture of them. And of course, the more they talk to you and things, and a lot of people share stories and stuff, well, you learn a little something about them. It's pretty intimate, actually. But I don't know. And like I said, it's only if you're paying attention. If you're not, you'd never notice, I don't guess. The skills and hobbies that I have just tend to work out well for me. Yeah, because I started out, back when I was a teenager and things, I would, mess around with old cars and fix them up and sell them, that kind of stuff. And did that a lot, plus hot rods and different things. And now, after going through a bunch of stuff and getting away from that and going to an office environment, doing that for years, getting burnt out on it, here I'm back to doing mechanical trades, which is, I don't know. I think it's one of those things, it just occupies my mind the right way. This is Kelly, AAA1. This is Kelly. Yes, ma'am. Okay. 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 Oh, geez. And ma'am, what was your name again? Wendy. Well, ma'am, I was going to say I'm going to stop here in just a minute. Can I call you back here in just a few minutes and get your information from you? And then, like I said, I could probably get there. Are you in Kingsport? Tomorrow is getting very full.
What's the average length of a visit?
On first pass, which is when we go by and diagnose and stuff, most of the time, about an hour. Most of the time, and unless sometimes you'll get into a wiring issue or something like that, takes a while to track down. That's why I try to give like a 2-hour window or so on my next call, so it gives me up to about 2 hours before I actually get behind on any of them. You kind of work the law of averages on these most of the time. Once in a while, you just have to come back and finish. I don't know. I like it. I like being flexible like this.
Do you carry enough equipment here for basic maintenance stuff? Or?
If I don't have to replace a unit or do a major repair, like change a coil or change a compressor, which are two major components, I would say a good 90% of the time I can fix it with what I have on the van, and that's what you want. But it's like anything else. The more inventory you carry, the more money it costs you to carry that inventory. So what you want is your inventory as lean as it can be, and still sustain 8 or 9 out of 10 calls complete. Because anytime you go back, you can't bill for your time driving and all those kind of things, which maybe you can, but most don't, or I don't. So anytime you have to do what's called a recall or go back for a second call or even to finish work, you're spending that gas, time, effort, energy, and all that to go back and do it again when you're already there. So definitely way more efficient to get all of them done you can on that first pass.
Start with who you are.
Oh, jeez, what a question. Some of my parts, I guess. Are you talking generally speaking, or in a big sense? God, that's a huge question, Ron. Who I am. I guess I'm who I want to be these days. That's probably a good way to answer. Yeah, make decisions and stuff. I don't know. That's a strange question. That's a very, very deep question. I guess in a nutshell, a hometown boy that went out, saw the world basically, and decided to come back.
That's a hero's journey, You go out, you learn the lessons, you bring it home.
Wow. I think that kind of thing is just, I don't know, you just do what feels right. Well, if you're conscious of it, you do make choices on just about everything you do, so. It's probably better to say I don't allow other people to choose my direction for me. I certainly do things at work and things that I feel I need to get done sometimes to make money to stay where I'm at and live the lifestyle I want to. But it's conscious. It's not, it's conscious. And I reserve the right to pull out any time on different things, different situations, or not to do business with somebody if that's the case, or not be around somebody if I don't want to be, or spend more time with people when I feel like I'd really like to. Big question. I've experienced some things that totally altered my perspective on everything. And I came to the understanding that you just can't see it all, so you shouldn't really worry about it so much. Because in those glimpses and moments that you do, it's too easy to get lost. You know, and there's a lot here. There's a lot here to experience, a lot here to see, and good, bad, you know, everything. But it's a conscious choice once you're, God, I hate to even say awake, but that's the only word that applies, is once you're awake, you actually make a conscious decision not to sit there drooling behind the tree. You know, you make a conscious choice to participate versus being a bystander all the time.
Sure.
And that's, I don't know, that's a profound thing for me. I can certainly see like monks and things like that, or really spiritual people that just decide to withdraw from everything but the most basic of physical necessities and get by. I can see that. You know, I can certainly see the appeal to that. To you know, we're just going to make it from point A to point B as smooth. Yeah. I mean, I can see that. You know, I can see that very clearly. But for me, I don't know. It's the roller coaster thing. You know, you got to jump out there in it, and you'll have some highs. You're going to have some lows, and everything in between.
And just and conscious of the whole ride.
How much more thrilling can that be? You know, you know. I mean, and I find that about life. You know, is that I found that I delve into it, whether that's what I'm doing now for a living. It's something I certainly find interesting. It's what I like. It appeals to a lot of different things in me to make it worthwhile and challenging. And you know, my personal life is the same. You know, I have an extraordinary woman at home that I met. You know, and that's certainly changed my life a lot. And had other people come into my life since. You know, her daughter being one of them, which have made profound effects on me. I mean, just profound. We mentioned earlier that I said, you know, from my past that I didn't always enjoy going home.
What is home, do you know?
Oh, jeez. It's the place I want to go to the most. It really has become I don't know if refuge is the right word. It's not like I'm hiding from anything, but it's my little piece of the world that fits really well. And it certainly doesn't mean that every day is always great. You know, that's a fantasy. You don't. Well, anybody that's been in long-term relationships knows that this is the way it works. You know, there's good days and bad days, and you have to work on things, and you dealing with it's not a good way to say it either. It's you experience it, and if you when you're in a relationship with someone you really care about, on the days you have that are bad, typically theirs aren't, so there's some understanding there and compromise. But in the end, you know, it comes back to when you're both having good days, you really just want to be there. Or in a family life, you know, you have more than that. You have children in a relationship, those kind of things. When you find yourself just wanting to be there, to be involved, to be a participant. that's it. You want to participate in their life. In Raina's case, it's everything from, you know, helping her with schoolwork to really being involved in her social life, in problems she's dealing with, and things she's learning about life. You know, you can have a profound impact, good or bad. You gotta put some thought into some of those things. But it's profound. It's profound when you really pay attention and you really want to be involved and you really put effort into it. You know, you see so many people that are always doing 4 things at once or 5 things at once. You're not really paying attention to anything. It doesn't work that way. You really have to get into what you're doing to really pay attention. I don't know. To me, the world's in the details, I guess, versus the broad overview. Yeah, and you only have so much time. You know, we do live a physical existence, so you know that's what's changed. That's one of the big changes. When I really woke up, I became very conscious of what a limited existence this really is. It's very physical, but it also has a time clock going all the time. Only you don't know when the alarm's going to go off. You know, you didn't set it, so whenever that happens, you know, it's you know, this existence is over and another one begins, or that's what I think. You know, that's my own personal view. And you know, you do get that thing in the end. That's a big thing I've asked myself a bunch, and I really struggled with for a while. And that's what difference does it really make in the end? And I finally came to the conclusion that if it doesn't make any at all, so what? It just doesn't matter. You know, it really, it's still, you know, just choosing the day-to-day things that matter. You know, choosing to be involved in life and things. It doesn't, you know, I choose to be God, it's hard to talk about yourself, but I choose to I try not to be aggravating to other people. I try not to be disruptive in people's lives, even though you have those moments where you're just kind of a puppet and you're doing things you're not even aware of. But you know, you can make a conscious effort to make the world maybe a little bit better around you versus making it a little worse. I don't know. And I'm certainly not as involved as a lot of people. You know, I stay into a pretty tight group of friends and things when it comes to really spending my time, effort, and energy. But it's just my choice. You know, it's just, and I know that it's just simply a choice I made. That kind of goes back to who I am. You know, I guess I'm simply the choices I make. That's all anybody is.
So the opposite of profound for you was what a highly, because it's in the details too, but it was highly complex, but it was
structured, but with definite answers. You know, structured to a point that it just didn't even make sense. You know, feeling obligated to do things versus doing things because you feel like that's, you know, it feels right. You know, I think that's where you really know the difference. Is if you're doing things that just don't stomach well. I don't know. That's a way to look at it, I guess. But I think most people really know when they're doing things that they know just aren't for them. You know, that they just know. And if you learn to pay attention for that, man, life really changes, or it did for me profoundly. You know, I mean, it's a way easy thing just to get numb to this world. It can be harsh. It can certainly be harsh. And even in the best of times, it's always a struggle. You know, you still got to eat. You still got to usually earn money. You still got to at least take care of your basic necessities and needs, which means you can't really ever stop.
You can't ever stop.
You know, so I don't know. But that's just part of being human, I guess, or part of being a physical experience. What we've got here is, this is basically a standard heat pump system, and I received a call that it's not working correctly. First thing I always want to do when you come in and check a system, whether it's your own or anyone else's, is make sure that you have good airflow. And we do that by basically turning on the fan, and which I'll do right here. And we'll give it just a minute here to get running. There she goes. Okay. On this one, you should always be able to feel really good airflow when this kicks in. And right now, I can tell you by feeling of it, I just don't have the airflow I would expect out of a system this size. So, pop the cover here. Yeah, we definitely got a really dirty filter here. Of course, when you block it off, you can actually hear the air whistling around it, which means you don't have a whole lot of air going through the filter like it should be. Probably half the problems you see in these are basically caused by no more than this. Just a really, really dirty filter. What we recommend to people is that you have these cleaned every time you pay your electric bill. That's a real good, easy way to remember these. Okay. Now, the top filter we have here is called a permanent filter. What we're going to do with this one is we're going to take it outside here in a few minutes, and we're going to clean it up and basically make it look like the backside. It's going to look a lot better when we get done with it. And therefore, we'll let all the air flow through that it should and make sure our system's working correctly. Another real popular type out there you will see is the disposable type. We'll show a scene of those here a little bit later so everybody can see what those look like. On those, they're very inexpensive. Most of them are $2 or $3 for $1, and when they're worn out, you want to just take them out, throw them away, and replace them. But we'll show you what those look like here in a minute so you can see those too. All right, what we have here, we talked about upstairs, that the one we have laying here on the ground we're fixing to clean is a permanent filter. We'll work with it here in a moment. There are a couple of kinds of disposables that you'll commonly see out there. One is a typical blue filter like this. This is probably the most common type you'll see. You can buy these almost anywhere. They're usually $2 for $1, $3 for $1, something like that. But when this one gets dirty or starts looking like that, you literally throw it away and go get you another one. Now this is another type filter that's fairly common that you'll see out there. As you can tell by the filter media that's in this, it's a little bit thicker, so it's going to catch more particulates. And so if you have any kind of allergy problems or things of that nature, these type filters work a little bit better than the blue type does. But you've actually got to pay attention to it, look at it for a little while, check it every couple of weeks. And as we said before, a dirty filter causes most problems with heat pumps. So we'll set these to the side for now, and then we'll work on cleaning up this other one we have. You want to use something that's hypoallergenic, and you don't want to use any kind of cleaner that you wouldn't want to breathe, because obviously when we clean this thing up and wash it out, we're going to put it back in their return upstairs, and all the air in our house is going to be going through it. So we want it clean and we want it breathable, and we don't want anything unsafe going into our lungs. We'll go ahead and spray this thing down. And I tell people a lot of times, if you're pretty comfortable with these, take them to the car wash where you got a high pressure hose where you can take them and blow them out real good. Or like I said, use something like Simple Green and just soak them down and take a good strong water hose. But you want to blow them out from the back side, or wash them out from the back side. This one's really dirty. Now when you hold up the light, you can see through it real well. That's what you want. You want to be able to see good light through this. That way you know it's good and clean all the way through. Of course, we're going to set this aside for a few minutes, let it drain. So we stick it back in there now, we'll have water all over our floor. So we definitely want to let this dry for just a few minutes. And we'll put it back in. Well, upstairs we were looking at the return and the thermostat. This is what the thermostat is connected to, or a big piece of it. This is called your air handler. In a typical split system, you're going to have an indoor air handler, which does just exactly what it says. It's going to pull air down through this return, which is where we took the filter out of upstairs. It's going to bring it in the bottom, and it's going to shove it back out the top into this supply, which is going to carry it back out to the registers inside the house. While we're here, we want to make sure, check this, make sure everything's working like it should. We know we got our filter taken care of now, which we'll be reinstalling it just shortly. But we want to take a good look at the system and just check everything. As with any other piece of equipment, obviously we need to kill the power to it before we open it up, just to be safe. So we'll go ahead and throw these breakers. That kills all the power to everything in this system here. Alright, our line set, which is right here, is what moves our refrigerant from our outdoor condensing unit indoors to our indoor coil. That's what we're going to be heating or cooling, either heat or cool our house, depending on which mode we have the heat pump running in. Let me go ahead and remove this cover, and I can show you the pieces inside and kind of how this one works. Take just a second. And like I said, this is the point at which a lot of people, if you're not really comfortable with this, stop. They'll call a technician if they do the filter and clean it, and the system still gives trouble. A lot of people will stop there and call a technician in and have them come in and take a look at it, see what they can do. And like I said, if you're comfortable with this and you're a little bit mechanically inclined, it's really not that bad. Just remember, just because we killed the power here, I've still got power coming into this unit. I've just cut it off coming below these breakers, but there's still live power actually to my unit. It's just not being distributed inside of it. Alright. What I'm going to show you, like I said, this is just a very typical split system. You'll see this in probably 75% of the homes out there that use a heat pump style system. What we have here is we have a fan to move our air, and what it's going to do is it's going to suck from the bottom up through our coil and then go out the top up through our supply. Hence the return air is here coming up through our coil, and the supplied air is coming up through and going back out, coming out our vents. From our breakers, like I said, on top of those breakers, this still has power. Like I said, right here, you still have power. So you touch any of that, that's not good, okay? Just remember, when you shut off a breaker, all you're shutting off is what's on the other side of it. So we still have power coming down this main line into the top of our unit. Now, basically what a heat pump does, what a heat pump actually does, it's either going to heat or cool these coils and then pass air over them. In air conditioner mode, it's going to make these really cool, and therefore when your air goes across it, it's going to cool your air and put it back in your house. Now, as before, when we were looking at upstairs at our filter and it was all clogged up, if you reduce the airflow too much, it will basically turn your air conditioner into an ice maker. Typically, if it ran in that condition too long, you come down here and find that you had a big block of ice basically sitting here. That's obviously a big problem, and you hear the term often, my unit's freezing up, or is it freezing up? That's what they're wanting to know. Do you have ice forming on your coil? That's indicative of a few other problems, either being not enough airflow, two could be we could have something wrong with our fan, or three, there's something wrong with our refrigerant flow coming through. On this one, I'm pretty sure we probably knocked it out with the filter, but we're just checking everything to make sure. Now on our system, we also have a couple other pieces in here. If you can see up in here, this is our backup heat source. On most thermostats, you're going to have an emergency heat setting. And what that does is it's going to bypass everything else here you see, and it's going to turn on your fan, and it's going to turn on your electric heater to keep your house warm. So even if you have something wrong with your outdoor unit, as long as this indoor unit's fan will work, and as long as you're getting power to these strips and they're in good shape, you're going to be able to heat your house. The second thing these strips do is your outdoor unit, when it's running in heat mode, will actually get to a point in the winter where it'll need to defrost itself. You'll see them making ice and things of that nature. And what will happen, it'll actually have to kick itself in the air conditioner mode to defrost itself, and when it does that, it'll bring on these heat strips to keep you from ever feeling cold air in your house. And the third thing these things do is if it gets too cold outside and your heat pump can't do it alone, it'll start bringing on electric heat as it needs to in stages to keep your house warm and up to temperature. And this one is called a two-stage heat system. Your first stage, or two-stage system, first stage being your outdoor condensing unit and this coil, and then your second stage being your electric heat backup up here. Like I said, everything here looks in pretty good shape. Like I said, this unit's 13 years old. We got a little bit of dust, obviously a little bit of wear and tear on the wires and things, but most systems will last 15 to 18 years, just generally speaking. This one could certainly use a really good cleaning, but like I said, we're just kind of going over the basics right now and looking at everything. But what we recommend strongly that you have someone come out at least once a year and thoroughly clean your unit. And like I said, the most important thing with these is airflow. So you want to make sure everything's good and clean and everything's flowing like it should. Because obviously anything in here, you're breathing. It's going right back through your house over and over again. So the dirtier this thing is when you get into it, well, obviously the dirtier the air in your house is. So You know, the cleaner it is, the better and more healthy it is for you. So like I said, this unit appears to be in pretty good working order. It has some wear and tear to it, and it's pretty typical of what you're going to find out in the field. All right, well, we can pull the door off down here, and we're going to take a good look at our coil. Like I said, the coil is an intricate part of our system. Like I said, we can just see the top of it now, as the other door is still over it. But this coil is basically what our outdoor condensing unit, depending on what mode we're in, is either going to make this coil really hot, or it's going to make this coil really cool. And then our fan here is going to pass air over it and push it back out our supply vents. So we're either going to be heating or cooling our air. Let me go ahead and take this door loose, and we'll take a look at it.
Hey, what did you just do there? You just cut that off?
Yeah. The reason being, one of the things we're going to show here in a minute, if you see this piece here, okay, this is where our condensate comes from. We were talking about how it makes water. Anytime you have, basically warmer air passing over cooler air, if you remember your science classes, you're going to have condensate. That's what's going to happen. Like, condensate has to drain and go somewhere. In this case, it's coming down this pipe here, and we're coming out into a little, it's called a condensate pump that runs back up this line and pumps it outside and out of our house. Now on this line here, one of the things you want to watch out for, especially in air conditioner mode, is that this is, like I said, it's condensed water, and it's very clean, it's very pure. Algae grows really well in these. I don't know if you can see.
A little more. That's pretty good. Hold on there. Yeah, that's nasty.
Okay, yeah. As you can see, you've got a lot of growth in there, and what that is, that's algae. Algae and sometimes a little bit of mold growing in there. 9 times out of 10, when we get on the job, we will find that this elbow right here is stopped up. Now, there's a couple different ways to unstop this, but my favorite way is I take a shop vac and go to the basically receiving end of this and suck it through. That seems to work better than just about anything else you can do, unless you actually want to take the time to cut this loose and take it off and take it outside with a good water hose or something and flush it out. But what I'm going to do to prevent this from happening on this one, when we get done, I'm basically going to put a piece like this in here, so I'll have a clean out now, so I can pour a little bit of bleach down this every so often. We won't never have that problem on this one again, as long as the homeowner follows some instructions here, and about once a month in the summer. And in the winter, when they get done using the system, all they got to do is pour a little bit of bleach down this mixed with water, and we'll clean out everything good, and we'll kill all the algae and stuff growing. We'll do that here in just a minute.
What's going on in there?
Okay. Now, as you can see here, these coils, we got a little bit of wear and tear on them. Like I said, it's been in here 13 years, so it's going to be a little wore. And you can see where our condensate, if you can see the water actually dripping off of these. That's what we're talking about, is that it's going to make, anytime you're in air conditioner mode, it's going to make quite a bit of water, more than you would think. Most systems make several gallons in a day. Now, when you look in on this part of the system, this is probably always going to look clean in an upflow application like this one is. Our dirt's going to be on the back side of these.
Why is that?
Like I said, we're pulling air up from the bottom side of that this is called an A coil. We're pulling air up from the bottom side of this A coil and then pushing out the top. So any dirt or any mold or anything like that that's going on is going to usually be on the bottom side of these coils, so we can't really see it yet. I would have to take this one. On this particular case, I don't have an access panel or an access door. I would actually have to take this unit apart, or possibly I can slide it out enough for us to get a look at this one and just see what we got. Help hold me. Does that help any?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Now, one of the things important here, when we show you the shot of the back side of these coils, you can see there was little black specks all over it. What that was, that's mold growing. Now, this one's actually done a pretty good job stopping other contaminants from coming through. You can see that the coils are actually fairly clean as far as letting airflow through, but those black spots will eventually cover the backside of these coils. Just from experience, that will keep growing and keep going if you don't have someone come in and clean this ever so often. Now the bad side about mold is not so much when it's growing right now. It's when you go into heat mode and it dries all that out. It's going to push it up through your supplies, go all out through your house, and you're going to have mold dust and spore all over your house, which a lot of people are allergic to, especially small children and elderly people. It seems to affect a lot more. Well, let's slide her back together here. Okay. Like I said, overall this system's actually in pretty decent shape, so I'm going to go ahead and put it back up. It just has some general wear and tear, which is pretty typical of a system that's old. When we get done here, we're going to fix this drain and make it a lot easier to do some maintenance on. Probably save these people a few trips from someone like me. We have our trap here, which is going to be holding water. It's basically going to be sitting there full of water up to about here over the entire winter. And the whole time it's sitting there, it's actually growing algae and mold and things of that nature, usually until it plugs itself all the way up. And that's a very common occurrence in these systems. And this is what we call a clean out, and this is something most people can do themselves if they're comfortable with it. Like I said, we actually have a pretty good little system here, but we're going to make it where the maintenance is a little easier on it. And what I'm going to do is add this T on this end, and then put this into it. And then I've got an access here that I can pour a mixture of bleach and water down this. It's going to go back into my tray some. It's going to clean out and clear. It's going to kill and clean the algae and stuff that's in my tray. It's going to keep my trap and things clear here so it doesn't get stopped up on me. And it's also going to go down inside my pump and keep my line good and clear going outside. Alright, like I said, we've checked everything out here and we got good airflow. We know our coil's clean on the back side, which means we have good airflow going through there. Our fan's working like it should. So I'm going to go ahead and put this one back together. Like I said, be very mindful. Like I said, we still have live power right there, so you got to be careful with your door. Okay, got her back together. Let's flip our power back on. Okay, just one of the main things to mention is we knew we were making good condensate on these inside lines. We know we have good airflow. Chances are the system's fine. Now what we're going to do though, we're going to go to the other end of this line set and we're going to take a look at the condensing unit outside, just to give it a good visual inspection and just check everything will fit. And we'll explain some of the functions of it in just a few minutes.
Can you show that, what you just pulled out there?
Okay, yeah. Okay, on this particular system, it's very important you pull the power on these. You don't want to get electrocuted. Most systems out there, after the code, will have a quick disconnect box like this. If not, you'll have to go into your breaker box inside and flip the breakers for it. Like I said, we got our power pulled. Just like we were talking about inside, this is our condensing unit. This is the kind of the working end of our refrigerant, or one of the main pieces in it. What happens here is it, just like it says, it condenses the refrigerant from a gas to a liquid, which it pumps inside, and then our metering device in our coil either cools it, or everything's working properly, it cools and make air conditioning inside, or we reverse the flow in this and we will actually send hot gas inside to make that coil hot there by either heating or cooling the inside of our home. Some things you want to check for is like this one. You want to keep it free of grass and different debris growing up around it. Just like inside on our indoor coil, we want our coil to be free and clear and clean so it can pull a lot of air through and transfer heat and things like it should. This one looks to be in pretty good shape actually. It's very clean. A lot of times if this unit happens to be sitting close to a dryer vent, you'll have a lot of lint and things get on them and you'll need to clean them more regularly. That's kind of important. But like I said, once again, this is something you can look at visually. You can look at it and say either it's clean or it's not. If it's really dirty and things, you need to clean it up.
It's just a fan, right?
Yeah, you've got a fan, and then you have a compressor underneath that fan. And basically our fan is going to be what's transferring air across our coils here to keep air, to either bring in, it's either, a heat pump is exactly what it says. It is a heat pump. In air conditioner mode, we're taking heat from inside the house, bringing it out here, and dispensing it into the air. In heat mode, we're actually taking whatever heat we can get from outside and we're sending it inside. It literally is a heat transfer device. We're either transferring heat into our house or we're transferring heat out of our house. And we're doing that by just simple physics of taking and transforming a compressed liquid back into a gas, either in one direction for air conditioning, or we actually reverse that flow and do it in the exact opposite for heating.